My first business, Pacific Direct, my first sort of serious business, as opposed to trading cigarettes at school, started at Whalley End Cottage in Cranfield, just off the MBA school, because I needed to eat, I needed a job, and it was in the middle of the last recession in 1991. I was 23. And we started as a trader of sewing kits and shower caps, so hugely glamorous prospects for making a global transition into, and I ended up being a licensed toiletries provider. I represented brands like Bulgari and Aspray and Penhaligon's and Elemis and some fantastic products like Aveda in America, and we licensed those brands, we miniaturized them, and we sold them into 110 countries. The only skill I brought to business was I was a salesperson, and the only thing I was trying to do is to make a living. You know, the basics at the beginning were about sell as much as I can, understand the numbers so that I knew what I was making, and then recycle the profit as fast as I could to grow the business. And actually I think those principles are much too little thought about, in terms of that's the basic sales engine, and having the gift of being a natural salesperson, and I think there is something in that, or having been practiced for 5 years by the time I started, that takes care of growth. And then I think there's characteristics of, you know, just general ambition and desire to be the best and not to be beaten by the competition, and to study those people relentlessly, and to keep coming up with fresh ideas, and to study your sector and become an expert, and to be relentlessly paranoid about some person catching up and doing better. And I think a lot of us are driven by the desire to be the best at what we do. And I loved the hospitality industry, and I don't think you should do something that you don't really enjoy. When I sold Pacific Direct, I had 3 children, the youngest of which was 4. Actually, I wanted to continue staying in the business, but the relentless travel had been quite tough, and I also recognised, you know, I had a nearly £20 million company making £3.3 million EBITDA, and I always thought someone's going to burst my bubble, or, you know, maybe this is outside my own comfort zone. And actually I had children that I was now getting interested in, and I'm not, you know, going to be dishonest about the fact that I've loved my journey, but my children made sacrifices for me to achieve what we achieved as a family. So that's why I sold. And in terms of the exit idea, you know, the whole driver of Pacific Direct was, once you start to have an idea that you have a business and you're growing it and you have responsibilities and you carry the burden, I think, of people's mortgages and their livings. You know, once it gets to sort of 500 people and you have a divorce or a death or a nightmare every week, it's tough. And I found that tough because people are at the center of business. And then finally, you know, in terms of thinking about exit, I had always the knowledge that I was running this business so that I could afford to put my children into great education. That was my driver, my security blanket, is what I was, not money, security, very clearly. And I sort of felt, well, it's about time I banked it before I kept risking it. And finally, I think actually, now on reflection, you know, Four Seasons kindly gave me my own office. And that's sort of the height of my industry. You know, they were taking me on as a consultant in the hospitality industry. What an honor. Maybe time to go, do something new. I was 40, seemed like the right time. But I didn't plan to exit all the time. When I knew I wanted to exit, sort of 3-4 years out, then I planned.